My name is Jamie Robertson. I'm from Aberdeen. Most of my work has been spent doing R&D on animal health and environment. So I've done a lot of work, for example, with respiratory diseases in cattle, pigs and poultry. And one of the issues that I've kind of utilized over the years is how buildings help or hinder your aspects of animal health and behavior. So when it comes to ventilating a shed, the best thing to do is to think of where is the fresh air. Where's it coming from and where's it going to go to? Because it cannot stay fresh. That's the important thing. So ventilation is all to do with where does it come in and where does it leave? And it will arrive clean and leave dirty. So that's ventilation. It's principally driven by the wind. So the first thing we can say is that if you're in a building with your cattle and calves in it like this, and it has a lot of solid walls, to be instantly I'm going, well, there'll be certain times of the year when the building will not be ventilated very well by the wind because it doesn't get through a solid wall. Very, very simple. We can put mathematics to it, so we can be quite prescriptive about what's good about a building and where potentially we need to make improvements to a building. And as I said, whilst the wind drives the ventilation of most naturally ventilated buildings most of the time, where it goes wrong is when the wind speed drops. And it's at that point we need to engage, if we have it, what's called the stack effect. So there's no air movement, the air quality inside this building will slowly get worse. There'll be more moisture, more bugs, whatever, because there's no wind to remove the stale air.
A fantastic cow like that will be producing at least a kilowatt of energy. With 30 cows, you're 30 kilowatts. The air will warm up inside the building because there's no air coming in. If it warms up, hot air rises, and if you have a hole in the roof, a certain volume of air will leave the building and therefore air must come in to replace it from elsewhere around the building. So that's called the stack effect. It all goes back down to where does the energy go to drive the ventilation in this small proportion of time of the year, which is also the most dangerous time of year for respiratory disease. So it's lack of fresh air, high humidity, and the aerosols. We've come through COVID, so people maybe need to understand, same deal in the cattle here, that the viruses and bacteria that are expelled by an animal that's sick will be hanging in the air and lingering, and therefore spreading to other cattle in the building. However, if you have a good stack effect, then all the air in the building will be going up through the roof and fresh air coming in through the outside. So that's basically how we would want ventilation to work. And then you come in and you look at a building like this and you can see, well, where would you expect the fresh air to come in? It's a place over there, maybe over there, depending what's through there, maybe behind you over there, but nothing coming in here. So we actually can start to see, without being complex about it, how the building may or may not work. Let's say we've got 12 cows and 12 calves. We can go, right, we know what we should be getting in terms of growth rate, infection rates. There's always going to be some illness. It's not possible to have no illness, but we want to know what's dragging them down. So if you get respiratory disease in these 12 young calves here, they're going to grow at sort of, let us say, 600 grams a day as opposed to 1200 grams a day. And it might take, if you get pneumonia going through them, you'd be lucky to get it sorted out in 4 weeks, or more typically 8 weeks. So it's a numbers game. Getting fresh air in here is a difficulty, and it ain't going to get out easy either. There are different solutions. Typically the roof always needs sorted. You could end up spending a lot of money and it's still going to be quite difficult because it is a building between two other buildings. So getting fresh air is difficult because if there's cattle through there and cattle through there, you cannot have fresh air delivered apart from in there. But my point is that, to my mind, understanding the costs of disease and chronic disease is a way of helping the decision making, because if it doesn't stack up financially, you don't do it. And that might cost £3,000 or £4,000, but I've been in places with hard growing store cattle where they've spent £6,000 on the roof and made the money back in 18 months because of the improvement in growth rate. One of the things about Scotland, Ireland, Wales, probably most of northern Britain, we struggle with respiratory diseases because we live in a maritime damp climate and we don't manage the moisture well enough. So anything that influences excess moisture, and drainage is one of them, really it's a long-term solution, is to get buildings draining better or using different materials. So if you have a calf creep, for example, as beef units might do, nobody has the money to do everything, but keep that calf creep dry. Throw bracken down below and put the straw on top of it. Put sand in, put gravel in, put anything in to keep that bed dry. because that's what we want in terms of the interface between the animal and what it's lying on. Dryness is good.